What's up, people? We are back with more of Katawa Shoujo. In the previous video, Lilly and Hisao had this nice, very loving moment together in the bathroom, in the bathtub, you know. So yeah, that happened, and so they're basically, I mean, it's basically the real deal right now, right? I mean, they've had intercourse twice now, and they've been together for as many days as well, I believe. So yeah. I mean, they're just a new couple, you know, so those things are sort of somewhat expected to happen, but still, like, it moved really, really fast, which was not really that surprising considering the events that happened before that, but still, it's like a really, like, a change of mind that I quickly have to get used to, just the fact that they're a couple now, because of the fact that it moves so fast. It's like we almost had no time to sort of adjust to the thought that, oh wait, Lilly and Hisao are actually a couple now. Now we're heading back from the summer house to Yamaku, so we're gonna see how that sort of dynamic, which has changed now with Lilly, Hisao, and Hanako, how that is going to affect the school life and everything, if it even does, because it couldn't just have no effect on it at all. But yeah, let us just continue as they are both sleeping so peacefully on our train ride back. After a chaotic dash to the station, and finding our seats in the otherwise deserted carriage, we promptly crashed. Looking at the time, close to midnight, it's little surprise that a few take this particular train. Hanako is fast asleep on Lily's shoulders, and I can only barely muster the energy to stay awake. The excitement we had a while ago probably didn't help. I'd probably be pretty depressed about going back to school if my brain was actually working. As it is though, the sight of the nighttime scenery scrolling by is surprisingly beautiful. My loud yawn is nearly wholly drowned out by the clacking of the train tracks and the old carriages rattling. So tired. And whose fault is that, Hisao? She really does toe the line between insulting and amusing sometimes, though I manage to wring out a wary smile. I look back out the window, my reflection just visible on the clear pane. Truth be told, she's perfectly correct. If it weren't for that little interlude a few hours ago, both of us would have a lot more energy. On top of that, we both had to take another bath, very nearly making us late for the train's departure. Yeah, it was mine. Still, getting into a bath with a guy is a pretty dangerous thing to do, exactly. Lilly asked for this to happen, okay? She's the one that sort of, you know, instigated the whole situation, like, yeah, don't worry, let's take a bath together. Then that kind of thing is bound to happen, okay? Evidently. Sorry. I guess I kind of took advantage of the situation back there. Well, I didn't exactly hate it. Oh, Lilly. As she trails off, I look back to her, my eyes narrow as I see her slightly reddened cheeks and small grin, her mind obviously elsewhere. What are you thinking about, Lilly, huh? Say it. I knew the possibility of it happening was there. Oh no, you planned this out all along, Lilly. I knew it. You're just as dirty-minded as I am. She quickly coughs into her free hand, making her disapproval crystal clear. That's a rather crude way of putting it. Oh? And you would suggest? I merely have a healthy adolescent sex drive. So in other words, dirty-minded. Sure, they're kind of the same, somewhat. Healthy, dirty, yeah, what's the difference, right? Almost seeming to sense the moment, Hanako mumbles quietly as she furrows her brow in Lily's lap. Lily's look of disapproval melts away as she gently smiles and strokes her hand on Hanako's long dark hair. This has got to be so weird, right? Especially after like the dynamic that they mentioned in the previous video, like, you know, father, mother, and daughter, that where Hanako is kind of the daughter, and the fact that they were just talking about what they were doing earlier. And then while the child is sleeping, that's got to be kind of a dangerous thing to do, right? Because you generally, as parents, try to avoid such topics of conversation whenever the kids are around. But here we're thinking like, Hanako is asleep, she probably won't notice. But if she's pretending to be asleep, dun dun dun. All I can do is watch. Watch and smile. If someone were to ask me when I fell in love with her, I wouldn't be able to answer. The best I'd be able to come up with is, it just happened at some point, but I didn't realize it. The thing is, like, it's really hard to sort of, whenever you fell in love with a person, it's really hard to sort of pinpoint an exact moment, like, oh yeah, that is the exact moment, and on the second that I fell in love with her. I feel like it's always something that sort of gradually happens over time. Like, sure, sometimes it just hits you, but even before that, you had this small build-up where, like, oh, I'm starting to like him more and more, and then suddenly, whoa, wow, and then you realize, like, wow, am I actually in love with that person? I feel like you can't never really pinpoint that one specific moment, like, yeah, okay, that's when it happened. If someone were to ask me why I love her though, then I could answer much more easily. You really love Hanako, don't you? She gives a deep nod, smiling warmly. It's a pity we have to return to school. She seemed to relax so much while we were away. Talk about Hanako, talk about school. Why would we talk about school, honestly? What kind of choice is that? Like, yeah, but I feel like I don't know, I just feel like, why would you suddenly talk about school when you were talking about, I don't know, it's like, we spent this entire trip on the summer house with all three of us, right? And it's like, us three are sort of like this really, I don't know, it just feels like this really close and tight-knit friend group almost, you know? So, I feel like the best choice here is to talk about Hanako, you know? To learn more about your friends, and sort of, especially the friendship between Lilly and Hanako. So who the fuck would even, if this was an option, regardless of whether it was Hanako or anything else, who would ever pick, like, yeah, let's talk about school, we have to go back to school, and that's the only topic of conversation, like, yeah, shitty school is starting again, right? Oh yeah, I don't like school, neither do I, blah 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 blah. Nobody wants to talk about school, honestly. I wouldn't worry. Hanako's been gaining confidence thanks to you, at least for as long as I've known you two. She gives a self-deprecating sigh. I think I merely provided her with company and support. Since she came to know you, she's opened up much more, even to me. I get the feeling she's understating her influence on Hanako, especially given that before the two came to know each other, Hanako had no friends to speak of. The friends I'd had in my previous school fulfilled what I had expected of them, for the most part, simply being there for idle chatter. But in Hanako and Lilly, there really feels to be more to their friendship. A part of me envies it, but I can't ignore the fact that the school year will eventually end. After graduation, I really have no idea what Hanako will do. This trip has shown me just how much we've all come to depend on one another. Indeed, we're all going to have to make decisions. Maybe that's the reason why. Despite our return to school almost heralding a return to the normalcy of everyday life, I can't help feeling a little restless. Okay, I mean, I guess, you know, school is kind of an important topic somewhat because, you know, the end of the school is pretty much coming very soon, and with that comes graduation as well, and then it kind of comes into a question, like, what are they gonna do then, you know? But I feel like if you just continue to strengthen the friendship and relationship and bonds that you have with each other, something like school isn't really going to stop you from being friends or never seeing each other again, I feel. On the bright side, it won't take long for the summer holidays to arrive after our exams are finished. We could come back here during the summer holidays if you want. For a moment, she thinks on the notion, her face becoming somewhat distant. I can only guess she's reflecting on all that's happened here. That would be good, I think. I nod approvingly, smiling at her. Summer. Together with Lilly, the idea seemed like the perfect way to spend our holiday. Oh, Act 4, Future. After the excitement of our trip to Hokkaido, it seemed strange to be right back to the usual daily routine so soon. Indeed, it feels like a normal day, the same as any other. Well, that's what I'd like to think anyway. To tell the truth, the atmosphere of the entire class, no, the entire school has changed. While an undercurrent of subdued trepidation had previously pervaded the class, now that the exams are in sight, it's boiled over into frantic studying, rarely seen otherwise. One day until exams start, it's horrific really, that instead of studying, we went and wasted our time up north. We were such model students too. Glancing around the class, even the bubbly, ever-energetic Misha seems oddly deflated. She sits at her desk, nervously chewing a pen, while Muto lectures from the front of the class. Wait, on closer inspection, I do believe she's eating it. She's eating her pen? Oh my god. I remember one particular kid in my class, that was obviously in elementary school, but he was like biting on his pen and then it exploded in his mouth and he got all the ink on his face and in his mouth and on his lips, and it was like, oh dude, it was just such a horrible sight, and I can't even imagine what it must have tasted like. Oh god. Like, obviously I laughed, but some part of me also felt like really sorry, like, oh my god dude, how did that even happen? Tearing my eyes from the sorry spectacle, I turn my attention elsewhere. Hanako sits frantically scribbling in her notebook, her face mere inches away from the page, seemingly trying to record every word that leaves Muto's mouth. Shizune's, Shizune, cool as a cucumber, she sits diligently taking notes with her attention wholly focused on the front of the class. Truth be told, it's what I should be doing as well, if not for the fact that I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what's being covered already. I wonder how Lilly's doing. While she does have a good head on her, she has plenty on her plate. Unlike me, her class representative duties, taking care of Hanako, her other social contacts, her extra English studies. That girl really does take on a lot. The lunchtime bell brings a sigh of relief from the entire class, Muto being no exception. I get the feeling he much prefers the more laid-back atmosphere of his normal classes to the frantic pace of exam preparation we're subjected to right now. He-chan! Help me! I lower my eyelids to half-mast, making clear my intention of doing quite the opposite. Aw, she looks so sad. Help me, help me, help me! Not going well? Shi-chan's going to be fine, but I think I might die. Am I going to die, He-chan? Will you let me die from all the work? How maudlin. Given that she's neither the brightest student in the class, nor the most diligent, it isn't a great surprise that she's finding it hard to cope with the workload. Sorry, Misha. I've got my own work to do. I thought you and Shizune would be studying together over the long weekend anyway. Studying's too boring to waste a holiday on, He-chan. Shopping together was much more fun. Wasn't it, Shi-chan? It's only now that I realize Shizune's been looking over to us, and that Misha's arms have been moving likely at the oldest time. I must really be zoned out to not have noticed. What is it with girls and shopping anyway? Even Lilly and Hanako have dragged me with them, or out with them a couple of times. But you went anyway? It's so rare to see a guy that likes going shopping. Well, my role would probably be best described as pack mule. I wouldn't say I share your enthusiasm about the whole experience. But back to the exams. You studied after you got back from your days off, didn't you, Shizune? Of course, He-chan. It's only sensible to study in the days before. Misha makes a sound vaguely similar to a dying cow as she realizes her folly and unceremoniously flops onto her desk, betrayed even by her best friend. Judging from Shizune's quite frustrated look at Misha, She probably told her to study as she did. Don't worry, you can still gain some grades if you start studying now. Maybe. Misha does not seem overly amused. It seems the bubbly balloon of everlasting cheerfulness has been cruelly popped. Boom. Shizune's signing goes unnoticed by the moping Misha, earning her a quick poke in the shoulder. It takes barely a moment for Misha to get back into form. Oh, so what did you do over the weekend, Hichan? We probably shouldn't tell Shizune that, considering how competitive Shizune and Lilly are. And they don't seem to like each other anymore either, so yeah, probably should not say that. I just took a trip up north with Lilly and Hanako. It was pretty nice, especially the bath scene. I see both of them narrowing their eyes at me, their minds surely in the gutter. This time they're actually right. If their minds are in the gutter, they're actually right this time. The fact that their suspicions are founded makes the situation all the more awkward. Exactly. We just studied and went sightseeing. There's nothing more to it. Yeah, we cleaned ourselves. That's what we do every day. After such a flagrant lie, I realized that it may not have been the best step considering Shizune's connection and her total lack of restraint when it comes to questioning someone she suspects of telling untruths. I really have no idea of how she's going to take it, but you'll find out eventually anyway. If it isn't as if it's really her business whom I date in any case. And yes, Lilly and I are going out now. Oh god, you shouldn't have said it yourself. Just let her find out. If she's really that nosy, just let her find out herself. While Misha receives the news with an enthusiastic smile, Chizune gives a look of mild surprise, somewhat masked by her cool demeanor. Whoever your date is your business. I hope you two go well together. Oh wow. Not quite the mature response I was expecting from Shizune, but thank you. Misha gives a look that says this is the most quarter I could possibly receive on the matter. It's all I wanted, really. After she says this though, Shizune begins to sign something else, then stops herself and shakes her head at Misha to prevent her from translating. Normally, I think this is strange enough, but the awkwardly casual way Shizune gives before walking off with Misa in tow adds to my confusion. Shizune is hardly the kind of person to pull a punch or communicate without forethought. Interesting. I shrug my shoulders at the duo's odd behavior and look towards Hanako's desk, but didn't see that her chair is empty. She was definitely here before, so I guess she just didn't feel like waiting. I'll go grab some food alone then. Walking down the hallway to the unused room that's become a second home to 3 students in particular, I mournfully look down at the plastic-wrapped salad roll and juice box in my hand. Oh, juice box! I love me some juice box. The cafeteria's food is really unappetizing. Maybe I'll consider this my penance for my recent indiscretions. Opening the door, I notice one less quiet figure than I'd expected. It's strange. Despite having known Lilly for months, I can't help thinking back to the very first time I opened this door and saw her silently sitting in the sunlight. And just as she did then, she slowly opens her eyes, unmoving as they are, and calmly addresses me. Oh yeah, this brings us back to that moment in Act 1 when we first met her, our blonde-haired angel. Good morning, Hisao. It's afternoon, I think. Has Hanako been around? She skidded out of class without me even noticing. Lilly cradles her cheek thoughtfully as I take a seat, my bag taking its place against the closest leg of the table and my unsatisfying meal neatly set out in front of me. She did appear, for a time. She said she had to study for the upcoming exams and left for the library. We find ourselves not entirely believing her words. Well, At least her intentions are in the right place. She is sweet, but she needn't go this far to let us have our space. I might talk to her about it sometime. Probably for the best. For a while, we quietly eat our meals, Lily elegantly nibbling on her sandwich and sipping her tea as I eat what tastes like a garden sandwich in dry dough. The atmosphere feels slightly strained, neither of us knowing quite what to say to each other now that our small talk has dried up. Oh, you know what to do. Let's go at it again. Okay, of course not. Eventually, we both finish our food, with no conversation forthcoming for quite some time. Eventually, though, Lily's soft voice breaks the silence. A lot happened back there, didn't it? Again, silence. With both our minds on the same topic, though, I think I have my feelings on that sorted out. I know everything happened in kind of a hurry, but I don't regret anything that happened in Hokkaido. Not one thing. What is there even to regret about, huh? Hisao? Slightly tense, I take her hands in mine, half to feel her, half to settle my own nerves. I stand by my words back there, Lily. I love you, and I won't leave you. I only wish for you to think the same. She silently reflects for a long time, which feels like an eternity. Her reverie comes to an end as she takes one hand from mine, placing it over them as she leans her body forward and stands out of her chair. After a moment's hesitation, her face slightly pensive, her lips meet mine for a brief moment. My mind feels as if it briefly stopped at that moment, barely registering Lily sitting back in her chair and smiling back at me with ever so slightly reddened cheeks. Hearing that makes me very happy, Hisao. I would be glad to stay with you. Maybe it would be good to slow things down a bit, compared to before. We still have school after all, and our exams. She gives a mischievous giggle, which proves to be contagious. That might be a good idea indeed. Do you think you'll fare well in your exams? It's only one day until they arrive, as you say. I probably should have studied more, but I think I've got a good enough head to manage. That said, I had to bat off Misha and Shizune. Is your class as worried about the exams as mine? She lets out an exasperated sigh, all but confirming it. I'm thankful for the atmosphere becoming a bit lighter. I think so. I've already been asked for help by 2 of my classmates, and there will no doubt be more. Think of it as your first training in being a teacher, maybe. That's probably a good way to think of it. On that note, how are you faring in your English studies? I remember it was far from your strongest subject, and the few sentences you memorized to speak to my mother aren't likely to help. Damn, right on the mark. You got me. If you don't mind, would you be able to possibly help me in that regard? Please? It would be my pleasure to help you, Hisao, but in exchange... Oh, what do you want, Lily? She lowers her eyebrows at me, her coquettish nature tentatively coming to the fore. No problem at all. You'd probably be better off with some help in your studies, though. What did she want? Was she hinting towards something? Did she want to get poked again? She beams a smile at me, one of girlish victory that nearly makes me blush. I get the feeling she's aware of how to use her face to twist my judgment, so I should probably be more on guard. Here and now, though, a study group seems like an expedient way for both of us to shore up our more lacking skills. The school bell rings out, reminding us that time isn't going to stand still. If only it would. Huh? Lunchtime's over already. It sure is easy to lose track of time here. This room's so far from the other clubs and activities. not much sound can reach us. That's probably most of the reason why. A place far from all the others, alone with just one person whom she loves. As Lilly stands and collects her bag and cane, my thoughts are cast back to the time we spent in Hokkaido. Before I go, Akira and I are having a homecoming party in my room tomorrow. Will you be able to come? Of course. And back again. My schedule is free, so I should be able to make enough room in my study time to make it. Good to hear, Hisao. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're back from Scotland. Once exams are over, we should have some more time to ourselves. Holidays start soon after too. We can start the holidays with Tanabata then. What's Tanabata? Just as we promised at the school festival. I kinda somewhat remember, because it's something that they talked about indeed during the school festival, but I don't really exactly remember what it was. Damn it. She brings her hand to her cheek and laughs slightly nervously, recalling the event, as I silently thank myself for managing to remember. Oh yeah, girls love that stuff. When you manage to remember like a secret you made from long ago that you haven't completely fulfilled yet, even though it's like the tiniest thing in the world and it doesn't even mean that much, the fact that you remembered such a thing makes the girls are like, ooh, it's true. Keep that in mind, guys. It seems odd to see her react in such a way, though it's not like I never saw her embarrassed before. I'd better be going. Farewell, Hisao. I don't like when she says farewell. Farewell makes it seem like, like goodbye, like you're never going to see each other again. That's what usually people say with farewell, right? But she just means it as like bye or see you later or stuff like that. But just the word farewell, it's just like, oh, it makes me feel like, Lilly, why are you saying that? Bye. Whether it's out of habit or just a stubborn desire for one small fragrant of normality, I hold my hand up in farewell just as I always do. At least I'm consciously aware that I'm doing it now. I think I'm beginning to see a bigger picture than I ever have before, not only with Lilly, but also my life ahead. The chains of my past are finally breaking. Alright, well, I haven't been feeling that well today, so I think the video is not gonna be that long, but don't worry guys, the next one is gonna be a lot better. So I hope you've enjoyed this particular video. We finally returned back to Yamaku, and yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen, right? Because it seems fairly close to, I mean, we're in Act 4 already, right? And usually in Act 4, I feel like in at least the 2 previous routes with Rin and Emmy, there was always some sort of problem there existing, but we didn't quite address it. Like with Emmy, it was like always her the fact that she was kind of underestimating, or not even underestimating, but just hiding the fact that her legs were actually painful, and that she just forced herself with all her running. With Rin, it was clearly sort of this entire disconnect that we kept having throughout the entire route with her. And here it actually feels like things are going very well. So I'm waiting like, what is the particular problem that we're going to be hopefully ending up solving at the end of Act 4? But none hasn't really presented itself yet, and we're really close to the sort of end, right? Because the exams are coming, and which are actually fairly soon already, because we're studying for it right now. And then after that, well, we got the exams, then school is over, graduation and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm just, this is a really much different compared to the 2, and I don't know exactly how it's going to end up, so I'm really curious about that. But in the next video, we will be having the what was it, homecoming party or something that Akira and Lilly were going to be throwing. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. So I want to thank you all so very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Peace.